Okay, this one's just for fun. Um, and it's off the cuff too. There's no script. I'm just recording this out of the blue. I wanted to briefly talk about the idea of whether or not God exists. And I have a bit of a different way that I go about this. I'm a philosophy major, so I could go on about like deductive arguments, this, that, and the other. And I guess it would be fun to list those too. But I'm not going to take that route. When I think about the question, does God exist? I step back and think, okay, what do we mean by God here, right? And I'm going to stick to the evangelical / Catholic Christian idea of God for now, because I'm going to guess that that's the audience that I'm going to be speaking to. But in the future, if you want, I can talk about other ideas of God. Anyway, what they think of God is that God is an omnipresent, omnibenevolent, all-powerful being, right? And God tends to be, he has an unchanging character, but he can also intervene and guide the world towards his divine agenda. And an example of his intercession into the world is giving Jesus to help save people, etc., etc. And I think if we, having grown up in that culture, that seemed totally normal to me, that a being with all those characteristics, omnipresence, omnibenevolence, all-powerfulness, that just seems totally normal to me to have held that belief. But I'm not a Christian anymore, and even after I stopped being a Christian, that I was like, oh, okay, that seems fine, but I don't believe that anymore. But a little bit after that, I started to think that is just such a strange thing to believe that it exists. What I'm getting at is that it's just the strangeness of it, right? What a weird thing to be walking around on, like, to get up in the morning and drink your coffee and go to work and drive on the highway and then play video games and eat with your family. What a strange thing to have experiences, normal experiences like that, and then walk away and say, yeah, an omnipresent, all-powerful, all-good being exists. It just doesn't seem to be a very intuitive thing to infer from the average human experience in the world. There's a lot of really cool things that we can infer about the world. Like, we can look at the sky and feel awe and wonder, and we can look at nature and we can see how the leaves are really cool and they have their intricate leaf veins, or we can marvel at the great paintings that people make, and like there's awe, marvel, and all that stuff. But God, the idea of God is just so totally removed, at least in my opinion, from the intuitive experience that we have of the world, that the idea of God just strikes me as strange. And so every time I'm trying to talk to somebody about whether or not God exists, I'm operating from a position of like, I'm weirded out by the idea of God, but whether or not the arguments are effective or not. And I don't think they're weirded out by it. And I think they should be weirded out by it. Is this an argument? Not really. Maybe I kind of made an argument when I said God is not exactly an intuitive the fact of existing in the world. Maybe there's a good argument against what I'm saying. But if you operate from the disposition that I now sit in, then I don't know. It's just a weird idea. God is just a weird idea. And without God, without the belief of God operating in my life, I feel fine because I'm operating within the more intuitive aspects of the world, at least I think, to where I'm operating based on, helping out those in need and seeing where political movements are going, and then taking my stand on what I believe in those political movements and making change in effectual ways, and going to work to earn money, to buy my house, to hopefully have kids one day, all that stuff. That's operating within the world in an intuitive way, and it's fulfilling, and it's okay. And I don't really think we need the weird idea of God for that, but maybe we do. You can comment and disagree with me. I'd like to see what you have to say.